All right, back to our Photoshop file. A moment ago, I went and looked at all the type elements, and I put a block for each type element on its own layer so that I didn't have to see the type while I design the images, but I could have an idea of where I want to avoid if I need to, or rather focus on the areas that are empty. So I'm going to turn on my color balloon layer, and I'm going to press the V key, making sure I have the move tool, and I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it over by making sure it is clicked on. It was not clicked on. Now it is. And I'm going to move it over. My feeling is that I could do an interesting montage with this. There is one thing missing, which is something wine related. Just saying. It's not in here. I probably need one more image. But to begin my work, I want to see where this photo and how this photo is going to fit in this existing area. So over here on the bottom of the tools panel are a couple of buttons. The one on the left is actually a masking tool. Let's stay away from that one. But the one on the right is actually the workspace options here. So I can choose or press the letter F as long as I'm not in the text tool, one of these other views, and get an idea of what my poster looks like. So if I press the F key, that's kind of cool, right? You can see the different views. F, just the letter F. And as long as I'm on that layer, I can still work with that layer. So I have some grass at the bottom here. And then I'm going to decide right now I'm going to do a scale of this image. Now, I would tell you really best practices do not really recommend that you scale images up bigger than the size that they are because they tend to lose quality. But this is going to be fine. People are not going to be staring at this. I tell you, I think this image is sharp enough to withstand it. So to resize this image, I'm going to make sure it's on myself is clicked on the balloons color layer, and then I'm going to do Edit, Transform, Scale. I could have just done Command T, and it would bring up the scale options. I'll do that, Command T. And now I have the scale handles, and as I drag up, I can start moving my image, sizing my image into a way that I think will be more exciting, and that's definitely way better. Okay, that's already better. All right, I'm happy with it. Maybe I'll just make it a little wider. And again, I'm going to Command minus to zoom out. I'm looking for the upper right hand handle here, clicking and dragging this to get more balloonage towards the top of the image. I think I'm going to be happy with that, and press the return key, and that has set the scale. Okay, now I want to see the color, just for the color itself. So I'm going to zoom in again. I'm going to hide the blocks. Okay, and what do I think about this color? Well, one thing I think is I need to save the file. The other thing I want to talk about now is a way of doing what's called a non-destructive editing, so that when you make changes to your file, such as what I'm about to do now, and it's really drastic, you can easily get back to where you were. So non-destructive editing means what it sounds like, not destroying anything. And I'm going to take this balloons color layer and I'm going to drag it onto the new layer icon to make a duplicate of that layer, and then hide it. So that's the one for safekeeping. The color one is now the one I will talk to you about some basic photo edits. So I'll give you a moment if you're doing things. I know some people are working along, so I'm going to let you do that. I'm actually going to pause the recording. And at this point, I now have turned the type layers back on to see this really incredibly horrible mess. And if I go Command plus again and I look around at where the type is fitting, I can get an idea if this is even going to work or not. So here is the web address. That might work. So that could actually work down there. This is the text for the web address. It's actually very close to being something that might work. I think it might be cool if I could get this space a little bit cleaned out right here, where all these people are crowding up my poster. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to leave the text here, and I'm going to show you a new technique. So I'm going to be showing this more than once. This technique will come up again. It's not listed for tonight, but I think it's an important one right now. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that this spot here where I have these golfers or whatever they're doing there, I want them to go away, okay? Right here, these people need to disappear. So I'm going to go to my zoom tool Z, and I'm going to click and drag a box around just this little group of people. And there they are. Now, that's probably a little too close to zoomed in. Command minus, command minus, command minus. And then space bar and scoot them over. These people need to go away. I need to make sure that I'm on the balloons color layer. That's the one I'm working on. And now I'm going to use, and also making myself use specific tools because that's part of the agenda tonight. I'm going to use the lasso tool. I'm going to check and make sure that the feather is 0. And then I'm going to select over this guy's baseball cap, and I'm going to come down here around his dune buggy situation. And you know what? Now I'm thinking, at first I was thinking I wanted to select all around these people and be really picky-own about it. And now I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. So I could have selected them like this, but that's probably not a good idea because it's making more work for myself. I'm actually going to deselect. So to deselect, I'm going to go to select, deselect, Command D. Instead of doing it like that, I'm going to do it more of a, I'm still going to use the lasso tool, but I'm going to do it more of a comprehensive scrape here. And there's going to be a shadow that has to go away. I'll get back to the shadow in a minute. And now I'm going to put this in perspective, which is, I need to make it look like there's some fake land there. All right, so that's the selection tool. With that selection tool selected, you take a look here. There are a lot of weird little tools in Photoshop. This one is called the patch tool. I don't even know if I put this anywhere on the agenda. I feel like I should have, I must have, but just in case here, I'm going to click on patch tool. Now that I've picked the patch tool, please take a look on screen. When I click inside the patch and start dragging over this way,
Wow. Wow.
I'll show you again. Hang in there. I know you want to see where the patch tool is. I hear the patch tool whispers. And I let go. It's really not that great. But I'm going to deselect it, and it sort of looks funny. Does it look fine on screen? Oh, it looks like fine up there. But on my monitor, it's actually done some weird photo-y madness to it. I'm going to undo that. Option Command Z. That's actually Option Command Z is going one step up in history. So that tells me I can probably patch that, okay? So again, here's the patch tool. So it's the 1, 2, 3, 4th tool on the left, and it lives inside here with the healing tools. This is called the Content Aware Move tool. It's like the patch tool. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to go Content Aware. I'm going to click in the patch, and that's not what I wanted to do. Undo. Ixnay. Escape. All right, that's not how I want to do it. That was bad. So I'm going to switch to the Marquee tool. Why am I switching to the Marquee tool? Because it's only with the Marquee tool that you can move a selection without moving the content of the selection. It's only with these Marquee tools that you can move the selection by hand without changing what's in the selection. So I have a selection. I want to move the selection over without moving the people over to there. Okay? That's like some kind of a wicket or something. I don't, that looks like should be something. All right, so instead of doing that this time, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try another way of doing that. I'm going to use this tool called the Content Aware Move tool. And now if I move this over and put it here, this is similar but not the same, and then hit return, it did not look right either. That is bad. So I'm going to undo that. I don't know why it's making that weird anomaly. Shouldn't do that. Probably the easiest way to do this is to go, and cleanest is to go edit copy. That's right, old school. And edit paste. Yeehaw. Then, when I paste it, where did it go? It went right on top of the original piece. I'll get the regular move tool and slide it over. Holding the shift key down may or may not help me. I could try to put it right on that wicket. That's my name for that. It's maybe not a wicket, but you can see it's not really like a perfect patch, but for a poster it's probably going to be fine. So I'm going to drop this down here and even go Command T to scale it just a little bit like that and hit return. Z for zoom. I'm going to click and drag and I can see there's a weird sidewalk situation here, but it's not too shabby. Zoom up. Maybe I can move it down a hair. The V is for move. I'm moving it down. Does that help much? Zoom out. Command minus. Does it hurt? Doesn't really hurt. So if I move it down, is that... Oh, so now I have problems there. So I'm just going to nudge that over. And then I'm going to go again. Command T. Now the reason why I'm stretching this is because of a little trick I'm going to do here. I'm going to return again. Okay. Command T. I'm going to stretch it till I have like the sidewalk bit covered. Or not. Or not. See, it has a shadow there. That's kind of messing me up. But I'm just letting that line up on the top, and then I'm going to stretch it over here to cover some of this, and hit return. As long as you don't overdo it, it should be fine. Okay, now that I have that there, because I don't always do this, but I am going to do this now, I'm going to immediately seal these two layers together. And I want to do that now because I want to pull from the bottom one to put into this new patch I made. So the key command for just making these two, this layer 2 with the patch on it, and the balloons color copy B1 is merge down, Command E. Command E, merge down. Now that's really a part of the background. I have the original now behind it. See, the original is behind it, and now here's this one. It was Command D for what?
For to merge them.
Command E. E. Okay, sorry. All right, so that's that part. Now I might care about some of these edges. So to care more about these edges, this is not like the optimum technique. You'll learn another technique later on in the course, but what I want is for these edges to be semi-transparent, okay, or to be more blended. To make them more blended, I'm going to use the spot healing brush tool. The spot healing brush tool is when you just paint on something and Photoshop does the blending. Okay, that's not bad. A little bit up there. Okay, I'm not going to overdo this. This is a vehicle for me to get you going here. So I'm going to fix these ones up. And that looks pretty realistic. Good enough. There's going to be type on it, right? So really, are people going to be staring at that patch of grass? I really hope not for their sake. They might need something if they are staring at that. So I'm going to go to the zoom tool, Z again, and I'm going to click and drag on this little wicket situation and zoom out again. Now I want to remove these wickets. I don't want them. I don't know what they are. I'm calling them wickets. To do that, I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. This is my clone stamp tool. I'm going to make sure it's the one that's picked, not the pattern. To increase the size of the clone stamp brush, I'm going to use the right bracket key. And then just over here to the left of this thing named wicket, I'm going to press the Option key and take a sample. So that's Option click, and then I'm going to move over, then I'm going to click a few times, and that is gone. Okay. And here, I'm going to do a little here, and here on this little wickety guy. I'm sure there's something important happening here, but I don't know what it is. These are probably the stakes that the balloons were tied to, silly head. That's probably what that is. All right, now let's go to some of these little anomalies there. Depending on what you're designing, you may or may not need to do this, but eventually it's a tool you need to know. So there is how I am very quickly, without a lot of over-attention. I was trying to clean up some of these weird things here. So now I know that my type for that element has a place to live, even though it's not the color yet. I'm going to zoom out, Command minus, press the Command plus, and now I'm going to work on getting the rest of the image where I think it needs to be to really work for this. Remember, I also had this antique image idea, which is pretty darn cool. So now might be a good time for me to take a snapshot. So I'm going to hide this layer and zoom out. And I'm going to go to my history panel, and I'm going to take a new snapshot. Because what I'm going to do now is going to wreck everything. So now I should have a new snapshot. There it is. Okay. Snapshot 3, snapshot 2, snapshot 1, nothing. Snapshot 3 is where I am now. Okay. How's everybody doing? All right. So I'm going to hide the balloons color copy. I'm going to make sure all the type layers are on. And then I'm going to turn on the old-fashioned balloons. They're pretty cool. I want to do something with the old and the new. Might be like a lot for this moment, but kind of wondering if I flipped this image. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you next. Again, these are basic image transformations. Making sure that the old balloon layer is selected. That is the one I have selected. And then I'm going to choose Edit, Transform, Edit, Transform, and then it is Flip. It is Flip horizontal. It is now flipped. Okay, and then V for Move Tool. And I think I want to put it right here. And in fact, I want to try to line it up. It's kind of weird. Maybe it should be down here. With this field. Okay. I'm going to scale it. Command T. That's right. You got it. Okay. I'm going to scale it out to the edges. Hit return. So now you know flip. Edit, transform, flip. Now before I go any further, I want to remind you there are these opacity controls and what are known as blending modes for each layer. And for the current layer here, I'm going to go normal and I'm going to choose overlay. So now I'm starting to get some crazy cool design. What indeed is that? It is really difficult to read is what it is. Soft light versus difference. We'll just change out the color. This is probably a little too psychedelic for my crowd here. Lighten, that could work really well. And I like the way this is starting to be more dreamlike now. I'm kind of digging it, okay? So at this point, am kind of curious as to what would happen if I scaled this image. So again, I'm going to create another duplicate of that layer, hide one, and Command T. I'm going to scale this one even larger. I have found, as I'm sure you're going to find the same thing, that one of the best ways to learn Photoshop is to experiment with a certain amount of direction. So this just seems like pretty far out here. Well, these are a lot of old hippies, so they're going to love it. They're going to be like, yeah, we can't read it. Great. Right? And if I pull up the bottom, right, so what starts to happen is I'm sort of getting this image sort of fading into this other image. Okay? I'm going to pull it down a little further and hit the return key and Command 0 and F. Starting to have some interest, but we're going to have some serious issues with the type if we don't start handling some things soon. Okay? I'll give you another minute to practice and focus on your own work while I pause. Actually, I'm going to stop this recording.